guys don't wear white. They don't wear white. They don't wear white. They don't wear white.
Good morning again, and welcome to Breakfast in BS with Top Down. I am your temporary host, Top Down Cream Corn Aloysius Sanchez, and we have producer One Pancake Virgil.
Good morning to you.
And we have Johnny Lowe.
Good morrow.
We're just kind of getting started with the second episode for today, and Johnny Lowe was talking about his doing some recap of his belt test.
Yeah. So before we go into that, just know that our podcasts are fairly short, and so we actually do 2 shows in one day. If you did not figure that out yet, but it's actually kind of cool because you kind of after you do the first show, you kind of reset your palate, go to the bathroom, finish your pancake, whatever. So I think this format works for us.
It does.
It does. Yes.
It does.
Okay.
That's a good observation. It definitely does.
So Johnny Lowe, thoughts?
Recount the tale.
Yeah. Post thoughts of Greenbelt test.
Okay. Well, let me first say this. So the guys here had asked me what my fiance Vero thinks about the test, and I was telling them she thinks it's hilarious. And the reason being is because whenever we basically do a big group test at my school. So usually, hey, there's a couple adults or something like that, or just me, and then a bunch of kids who are testing. So whenever I test, for some reason, there's hardly any adults. It's like they conspire against me. And then my girl shows up, and I get paired with somebody who's about 4 feet shorter than me. And our instructor, God bless him, he's a great guy, will ask us to demonstrate our kicks and punches, and I'm stuck demonstrating kicks and punches on somebody who's 4 foot nothing.
That must be scary as shit for that kid too.
It kind of is. So my girl loves to take pictures as I'm mid-kick, so it looks like I'm about to kick this child's head off. She was telling me like one of the guys that I got paired with, cool kid. I think he's maybe like 14 or 15 max. But I went for a round kick, and I think for a bigger guy, my round kick can get fairly high.
It's pretty heavy too.
Yeah, and I kind of placed it near his head but didn't hit him, and she was telling me, she's like, yeah, I noticed that he looked scared when you were like coming in with your kicks.
I would be too.
And so yeah. And speaking of what Virgil said, Virgil, you and I have done some training together, obviously. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Vero brought this up because I was asking her to help me out with, hey, hold out your right arm like you were doing a punch so I can practice this. And she had mentioned, she's like, hey, you know what? You're very heavy-handed. Mm-hmm. And I was like, really? I think I'm being very gentle with you. But she's like, no, you're heavy-handed. Yes. So I am heavy-handed.
Well, no. So that's in proportion to the person you're working with, because lifting your arm or lifting your leg to your own strength is normal to you. For someone who's maybe not the same size as you, it's going to be heavy to them because
your arm's heavy. To them.
Just to give you an idea, my leg is probably about the size of Angel's body. Okay, so if you were to compare her leg to my leg, it's like half the size. So that's what I'm trying to say is like, oh, you gotta be gentle with me. I'm hard, like when I massage, right? Yeah. And and like it's like ow, I'm like barely touching you. That's the same thing with my mom.
Yeah.
And so it's just, that's what I'm trying to say is like when you are working with a partner, just realize that maybe figure out a weight to size ratio, and then like, okay, I'm gonna go half speed, or I'm gonna half power, or quarter power, whatever. And also, girls aren't being used to get punched in the face. You know what I mean? So it's just what it is.
You're beef castles, and you don't know your own strength. I mean, that's what's going on here. Johnny Lowe, very modest man, but very, very talented martial artist. Virgil as well.
Yeah.
So shout out to you guys.
Oh, thank you. Well, you were training with me for a little bit.
I was, and honestly, I think I need to right now. Where I'm at in my life, I think I can.
Yeah, it's what I'll tell you what. So anyone who's interested in taking martial arts is a very good way of focusing on yourself. Yeah. When I say focus on yourself, I mean in a good way, because you are disciplining your body to kind of understand a situation where you need what do you need to be counteractive to something. Also, your brain kind of understands your limitations, and so knowing what you can do and trying to assess a situation where, like, okay, do I actually really need to be in this situation or not? So your body only has like a threshold. I mean, as wrestlers too,
pain.
you figure that out, but you willingly do that. But when you're actually in, you're getting hit with a staff or a stick or a punch or something, you need to be able to diffuse that really quickly and then counter or escape. Unless you're a big macho meathead, you're going to want to just slug it out until someone just falls down, or we both do.
Yeah.
But that's not what martial arts is. I mean, some people perceive that, in a Coliseum or an MMA, like, but then honestly, how long is the career of a fighter? Not very long, if you compare it to life. so
people who practice martial arts into their 80s and 90s.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying is, like, that's why you have a lot of MMA people who started out as martial artists, got out of the game, and they're still alive, and they're actually doing stuff. Those who are just punched the F out all the time, what are they doing? Because they can't train anymore because their body just gave up on them. So now they're being like new color commentators and stuff, which is better. But I'm pretty sure they would still like to be working out.
Sure.
So anyway, but really research what you want to get into. Understand what your body is able to do. If you are a striker, if you are a grappler, if you're a weapons person, explore. Keep an open mind. Do not make the cardinal mistake of believing that the one style you train in is the best, because it's not. Take it all in, like Bruce Lee had said. Take what's useful, throw away what's not. You know what I mean? So
that's a good philosophy for life.
Dude, Bruce Lee was way ahead of his time. And that's what people don't understand, because if you were living in that time, you're like, no, you're wrong. But no, he was a very, very revolutionary man. A lot of his principles are applied to today. Now we just need another Bruce Lee number 2 to come out and
I'm
do
looking
that.
at him right now.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and like Virgil was saying, hey, there is no one style that's the best. I think pretty much gone are the days where people are like, no, Wushu is the strongest, no, Shotokan is the strongest. I think those days are gone. And, that's probably a reason why mixed martial arts is so big, because you take everything, from your experiences in the different martial arts and you combine them. So that's probably a reason that's so prevalent. And, so Virgil, you had mentioned something about how, Virgil kind of started us all on this martial arts path. We used to get together with Virgil like every Saturday and train with him in the park. And upon reflection, I got a Facebook notification saying, hey, you know what? I've got a couple of the past couple months, but one of them was like, hey, you've been blue belt for a year. Because I posted a picture of when I got my blue belt with you and me, and it's like, hey, a year ago. Took one with my orange belt, and it's like, hey, 3 years ago. So, if we look at that, because I think I got my orange belt fairly quickly because, I had trained with Virgil and done white belt techniques, so white belt went really quick. But my point is this, if we look at that as the start point, so I've been doing karate at the dojo for 3.5 years or so. It was probably 2 years before that we were training with you at the park. So that means this is like 5 years, like in the making. So it was like 5 years ago when me, Vince, and Sergio are all training in the park with Virgil.
You're still living over. You guys got flooded out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Virgil got flooded out like every time a storm came.
Yeah.
He was putting like sandbags in front of the door and everything. But yeah, I thought it was like, wow, 5 years have passed since those times, man. It's crazy.
Honestly, man, Johnny Lowe, the previous, this morning's podcast, I talked about some emotional, moments that I've had, and we talked about how the passage of time affects, the way, the perspective, the way you see things. Honestly, man, it's been a long time for a lot of stuff, bro.
Oh, yeah.
At this table, we've all been friends for 12 years. I think I've known John since early 2000s,
Like
and
2002.
Yeah, I want to say 2002.
Dude,
so we're going on 15 years.
That doesn't even... See, that's the thing. I still think it's like 2002.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's crazy.
And while we're on the topic of long-term friendships and stuff, I just want to give a shout out to our friend Jabron, who's going through some stuff right now. I don't know when or if he'll ever hear this, but we're thinking about you, and helping him actually this afternoon to work on building his Ryzen computer, his AMD new computer. So maybe we'll have something to discuss for the tech corner that Vince loathes.
Okay.
We'll have to get that in next time he's not here.
Well, then two things I have to add to this.
All right.
Two things.
All right.
One, I don't think it's fair. I'm the one who's been all about the Ryzen for the last 3 months. Okay? What the fuck? I should be the one who gets the Ryzen. Two, you're right, he is going through some stuff. So I have an idea if producer Virgil is up to it. Now, for those of you who don't know, Virgil's pretty much a beef castle.
Oh, Lord.
You wouldn't know it, from
Very
the shirt.
unassuming.
But I'm sure once it comes off, it must be like... So, Virgil, how about this? After breakfast, we go back to your place, take off your shirt, we'll take a picture, we'll send it to G, and hey, that could cheer him up.
Why?
Well, you're Asian, so you're exotic. You're brown, which is what G likes. Now the problem is you're older than he likes to date.
Oh,
but
Lord.
I think it'll be okay. Huh?
Why? Never take the mic again, Well.
I'm confused.
I'm not even sure exactly.
Confused.
We've taken, without Vince to counterbalance you, the derailing has taken on
I know.
exponential,
Okay. We'll talk later.
You were on topic.
Yeah,
Cool.
were is the key word there.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway,
Oh, I'm not young enough for him. Thanks.
Well, I mean, for him, it's like 18 years old. It's like the oldest.
yeah,
you
and
know
that's dictated by law.
Yeah.
Okay.
We love you, G. Anyway, where were we? About this random ass podcast now.
Yeah. So okay.
We had topics.
We did talk about Johnny Lowe's his promotion. So I do have a topic to bring up as far as because I wanted to talk about how things have changed within, like, let's say in education, where they're actually making kids who are like couples sign waivers and stuff like that.
Consent and stuff?
Consent waivers, I guess. So where does that take your kids into a point where when they sign this release form, does that mean they can harass, when the girl doesn't want consent, does that say like, hey, you signed a waiver, so that means you have to like consent to me doing more lewd stuff to you? And it's like, because I read something this morning where this mother who was an ER nurse was called into her daughter's school. Basically what happened, this guy, I think it was like 14 or 15 or something like that, like maybe a few feet taller than her, outweighed her and stuff like that. He was like snapping her bra. You know what I mean? And if you're middle school or whatever, oh, it's funny. And this was during class, and the teacher was seeing it, wasn't doing anything about it, and she kept saying stop, stop, stop. And finally, she just turned around and punched him in the face twice, made his nose bleed and everything. So they take him into the principal's office, and the nurse comes in and sees her daughter. The guy, his nose is bloody and stuff, and then so the parents are pissed at the mom and the daughter, and the principal is and stuff. They're like, oh, we just want to show you what your daughter did. Finally, you got to come in. And she goes, no, I'm sorry. I was sewing up someone who was in like in a violent knife fight or whatever it was. So I'm sorry. I couldn't be here on time because I was saving someone else's life. And then, so they said, well, look what your daughter did to this guy. So they were trying to give her a guilt trip on, like, you should be parenting your daughter on, how to handle a situation without violence. So what she responded was, oh, so am I here so I don't press charges about sexual assault on my daughter from your son? And they're like, and do I need to talk to the school board about you weren't doing anything about it until it got to this point? And so, good on the mom for putting that out, because had, they gone through the system of how this is how we punish our kids for being in fights, but she had no say on what this dude was like, he was doing. I think what happened, he kept snapping on the bra to a point where it got undone, and then after that point, she socked him. So
here's the thing, a bloody nose, will heal. But a lot of times, what people don't understand is someone who's being harassed is gonna have this lifelong, sometimes trauma. You know, really, it can be, especially at that age where they're still developing and they're still getting their ideas about the world, and they think that now they can't defend themselves if somebody's like, trying to snap their bra.
It sounded like they were just getting him a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a boy prank, whatever. But like, okay, so does that mean the girl has to deal with that crap her entire school life,
exactly.
and then afterwards? No, she should. I mean, and that that actually, to me, is they have self-respect, and they know, and they can defend themselves if they have to, especially someone who's twice as big as them. Mm-hmm. So good on her, man.
One day I hope to have a daughter. I really do.
Oh yeah, me too.
But it's scary, man, to think, because I have friends who have daughters who are 15 years or and younger, and just seeing what the world is that they have to kind of navigate. It's kind of scary, man. It really is. But at the same time, it's like, if you teach them to honestly, I'm glad that we're talking about the martial arts and stuff, because I think it's so important, because it gives them that mental focus, and also the ability to defend themselves if the time comes. Yeah. Because you can't always be there, you know what I mean, to watch them. And yeah, man. So, honestly, the martial arts, it's kind of a big thing that we talk about a lot. That's one of the things that actually gives me a little bit of, one day, hopefully, if I find the right person and I'm able to have kids and I have a daughter, that's one of the things that kind of gives me hope, you know what I mean, where I can equip her better for, dealing with society, because it's getting to the point where, yeah, man, it's like they have to put up with this abuse, and that's not true. That's not the case. No women. We just had International Women's Day. That shouldn't be a day, man. That should be all the time. Women were always taught. Me raised with, I never had any sisters. I have a few lady cousins who are like my sisters. And just taught to have a lot more respect, and I can't imagine. I never ran around grabbing girls when I was in freaking high school.
Yeah, too shy for that, and plus you get ostracized by the pretty ones.
Yeah, so I mean, I can't imagine it, but I understand that that's a situation that does occur. Yeah. So yeah, Johnny Lowe.
I just want to say kudos to that parent, for saying that, because I think that, hey, that's some bullshit. How dare the fucking school district not take any fucking action? Oh yeah. Good for that girl for punching that guy in the face. Yeah. You know what? My grandfather always told me, hey, you know what? The only way you get a bully to stop is you punch that motherfucker in the face.
Yeah. He'll find someone else to pick on,
And I struggle with the concept of having a child. Like Sergio said, hey, man, look what we're bringing children into now. It's definitely a different time from when we grew up, social media and all that other bullshit. But that being said, you know what? I think I'm a fairly laid-back individual. But I think had I been that parent, I probably would have told my child, hey, you need to wait outside this room now. And I probably would have popped my top at the administrator, the boy, parents. I probably would have lost my shit. And basically, if I had the restraint to not hit somebody, I think definitely, no, you know what, my child did fantastic, your boy's a piece of shit, and you know what, you can expect a letter from my lawyer, because I'm going to sue the shit out of all of you. That's really upsetting to me. Yeah. I mean, younger, hey, I was the victim of bullying. I think it kind of toughened me up a little bit, but at the same time, I have no tolerance for that. Yeah. That boy, that's upsetting to me. But
because around that age too, like a middle school dude, as a middle school teacher, man, kids are mean to each other, because this is the time when you're all trying to find yourself, your identity,
the social hierarchy.
Because in middle school you're trying to be like everyone else. By the time you get into high school, then you're trying to start finding yourself. But then you have those kids who are actually raised well in middle school, and so they already understand what their identity is. They already know what they want to be. But then you have the overwhelming majority of kids wanting to be like their other friends and trying to impress them. bullying them. And those kids, man, they're good kids, and that's what happens is you let society, or quote their society within school, change them and be jaded and want to be, alone. And it's sad because I hate that quote mob mentality, and that's why my classroom was always a sanctuary for those kids. Say, hey, if you guys get bullied, just come in here and we'll talk about cartoons, whatever. I don't care. And those, and like I've said probably before, but these students are still my friend. They're my friends now. I don't think that's what parents ever see. They don't think about it because they're too busy with work or they got some other things. But man, I mean, really just kind of understand where your kids are in their age group and the influence around them. Because if you don't, other people are going to raise your kids.
Yeah.
And it's a really uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah. Well, I think that parents kind of expect that nowadays for the schools to raise their kids. But the thing is, schools, there's too many students per classroom, you know what I mean? Where a lot of times, they say this teacher wasn't doing anything about this, the girl that was getting her bra messed with. A lot of times, I'm not saying that was the case this time, but a lot of times this stuff happens and they don't even notice because they've got 29 other students or 35 other students and there's stuff going on, and there's just no way in hell for them to be able to keep track of all these things.
Right, example, I was teaching a class and then there's all this commotion. I'm like, what's going on back there? Oh, they do this. I'm like, I didn't even see it.
Yeah.
And then, or that
you're busy teaching the freaking class.
They're going in each other's backpacks. They're doing what they call turtling, and then they turn it inside out, and then I think they do something with the books somewhere else or something like that, and it's mortifying because you have all these people ganging up on you and making it hard for you to just be normal. You know what I mean? It sucks.
Well, focus on what you should be focusing on.
Well,
right?
yeah, but of course you can have, and I told them, I said, guys, stop being jackasses.
Yeah.
I told them that. One of them goes, oh, you can't say that. I think I just did.
Yeah.
And then, did I ever tell you this story?
No, I don't think I've ever heard this.
Well, this other story was, so it was advisory, and that's where they do their study hall and stuff like that, right? And so I'm writing stuff on on the board for my next class, and I see this little flash going across the room, and I was like, okay, without even turning around, I knew some kid had a mirror and he was reflecting.
Watch or whatever, right?
No, he was reflecting. And so he was like, trying to make people laugh. So he was like reflecting over my back of my head and whatever. You can hear a few giggles. And so I stopped and I was like, all right, whoever's got that reflector, better hope my fist doesn't reflect off your face. And then I just hear this distant voice in the background going, sorry. And then that was it. Violence does solve things when you just threaten it. You don't really actually do.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm joking, but it was just kind of those things. I'm like, I was your age before too, so and this is before social media. Now, because you have in this other world that kids have to deal with, real life and then virtual real life it's hard. I think they have it harder this time around.
Where are we at?
We still got like about 5 minutes.
All right. So, well, I want to say something that was actually interesting because we're talking about, raising maybe one day raising kids, especially like daughters. I know I want one. Producer Virgil, wants one. Johnny Lowe is still on the fence about kids. I'm to tell you the truth, I still kind of am too, just from the financial standpoint. I know I'd want to have one.
I'm just saying, I can barely take care of myself.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay.
You and me both, brother.
How am I supposed to?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Like some people say, "Oh, you just need to have a kid, and then all your whole life will get in perspective, and you kick yourself in the butt." It might be true, might not, but it's like, well, I have to get there first. So.
But I hope I'm gonna tell a story. I hope that Johnny Lowe doesn't mind. We can edit it out if it's something that he doesn't want to have on the podcast. But I remember one time when he and I were coming home to his house. We live in National City. He was living in National City, not the summer cottage. Before that, the original house where you lived with Jake and stuff. The days of the Hachi. Mm-hmm. And we came home one night, and it was a car that we didn't recognize in the driveway, and it was your sister, man, and she was with was a dude, and they're pretty young, and they were in the back seat. And
you have a younger sister or older sister?
I have younger sisters.
Younger sister, and they're doing what kind of you would expect teens, to do around that age. But I think it was awesome, and this is a testament to that. I know that John's going to be a freaking awesome dad one day, because he takes a peek in and he freaking grabs this kid and just pulls him right out, opens the door and pulls this kid out and just tells him, "You need to go home right now." And the way he said it and looked at him, that kid, I'm surprised he didn't shit his pants. And that kid just booked. I've never seen that kid freaking move that fast in my life.
Whose
And
car
I
was it?
just
Was
like,
it her car or his car?
No, it was his car.
yeah. And so, it was interesting, because I'm just thinking back, and even then, man, kudos. I was just thinking to myself, that's good, man. That's what you gotta be doing, man. And it's just kind of a testament to, like, parenting isn't necessarily doesn't involve just the parents, man. You know what I mean? So that always kind of stuck with me, because I thought I would have done the same thing. It wasn't my place, and so I'm kind of glad that he did, because it really kind of cemented the fact that I hope one day to be able to be a good parent. And I hope that you guys are involved in that process, because, we definitely need good role models, and I definitely think you guys would be it.
Well, let me tell you the funny part that you may never have heard about that story. One, thank you. You flatter me. Two, what you didn't hear about that story is that same sister later went and complained to her dad, my stepfather. And he came and talked to me and said that I had overreacted. And then told me that I forget the exact wording, but he basically said they weren't doing what you were thinking they were doing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Based on who? Observation? Or
I don't know,
Well,
but
he wasn't there.
Yeah, well, I'm the one who got in trouble, even though, hey, I was looking out for my younger sibling, whom I don't really speak with anymore, for other reasons. But yeah, that's probably the part of the story you never heard. Yeah, I got in trouble for doing that. So goes back to that whole parenting thing, hey, I think I was in the right there.
I mean, honestly, what did they lose that night? I mean, in the long run, did it really matter? I mean, they could just get together another day and whatever it was they were going to do.
Well, I think that the most important thing, it just shows that somebody's there and somebody who's watching, and you know what I mean? And it means a lot, because if you just let kids just do whatever the hell they're going to do,
Yeah.
I mean,
Lord of the Flies, man.
yeah. So, like I said, I've been thinking a lot about this, recently. I'm glad we talked about it this morning. Having kids, I really hope to, man, someday. I hope to have the means, because, like I said, it's thinking about it, and if you focus on all the negativity in this world, then you're definitely not going to. But the thing is, just looking at the positive examples that we have, at this table with you guys and your fiancés and your soon-to-be wives and stuff. It gives me hope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, for the future. So.
And here's the other thing too. Someone had mentioned this yesterday. Sometimes it's good to unplug, get away from the phone, get off the internet, whatever it is. I'm starting to find that a little bit more. I've actually backed way back from Facebook, just because just a lot of personal stuff. And but the only reason I have been on there is to say happy birthday to some people, and but I'm not doing any like posting of grandstanding or anything like that. I mean, mostly just band stuff, but that's business. But it sucks, man. I mean, I think for everyone to know what your business is, sometimes you just like, and I don't want to sound reclusive. I'm reclusive for the original definition of being reclusive is I probably wouldn't even be here. But I would say as far as social media and stuff, it's like, it's good for you. It's good for your health, good for your sanity. I mean, do it sometimes.
So for those of you who aren't here, I've noticed that producer Virgil has a little sticky taped over his camera on the laptop. And since we're talking about social media and stuff like that, I think it's interesting to note real quick. So I recently watched, I'm going to say 80% of the movie Snowden. And there's some embellishments that happen in that movie.
Of course.
Yeah, of course, but
Good,
a couple.
good though? Good movie?
So far, yeah, it's pretty interesting. But the thing that I find interesting, since we're talking about social media, it's amazing to me that, hey, we post all this stuff on social media freely, but we're also very concerned about, what the government has access to and stuff like that. And they kind of touch on that in that movie, how the government can has programs where they can turn on your camera, whether that be on your laptop or even on your phone,
TV,
your TV even. Yeah, that's something that recently came out. and they can see what you're doing. So I think it's pretty crazy how, we put all this information out there. We're already doing it, but the government has other ways of seeing more about what you were doing.
Right.
So I just kind of thought that was interesting because, he was mentioning social media and stuff like
But
that.
what does that have to do with it?
Well, I mean, who knows, man? You know what I mean?
I know they could probably make something out of it.
I mean, the thing is, having that information, what are they going to do with it? I think that's the problem. Problem is, what are they going to do with it? You know what I mean? Like, why are they gathering this information? Because it's like it can be used any sort of nefarious ways.
They kind of, not even that. Like, who has access to all that quote unquote useless information?
Very true.
So, for example, in that movie, Snowden's being walked around a certain process by one of somebody else on some team, and that guy's job is to monitor this one guy. But he's not just monitoring that guy. He has to monitor that guy's contacts and their contacts.
Yeah.
And so he says, let me look at Akbar's cousin, who's a dentist in Florida, and he can turn on the cameras in that guy's business and watch him doing dental work. Or he can turn on the laptop for that guy's daughter, and he turns it on, and she's changing. And he's like, yeah, I've always wondered what this looks like. And he's just watching it.
Yeah.
So it's not even just like, hey, what information are they storing? It's, who else is like watching you do things.
Right.
Man.
Big Brother, man. We live in a freaking very Orwellian. We're getting very Orwellian. You know that? With our, well, anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
I think we should wrap it up. So as
So,
far
I
as
want to cover my camera on my phone now.
yeah.
Hi government, hi NSA, we love you.
I don't worry about that because I don't have shit that they want. And so, but yeah, it is kind of something you want to be aware of at least.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. So so bring it back full circle.
All right.
Protect yourself. Use your martial arts for integrity, not for evil, or else I will come after you. And be good parents and
Be kind to women, girls, man.
Yeah,
Please,
yeah, seriously.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some of this stuff that we're having conversations about, it's like, how does this not? How is this a thing?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly, right?
But anyway, it is, and that's the world that we live in. So thank you for joining us this morning for Breakfast and BS with Top Down and friends and your regular host. Hopefully we'll be back next week. And
I can do without him.
producer Virgil, you can still.ill.net.
Yeah.
Here, I'll have you. I'm terrible.
You can see and support my band Still Ill at still.ill.net, Instagram. And that's only because I've heard it so many times. And John, you can find you.
Silently plotting his escape.
You can find me on Facebook at Delicious Low Shizzle. Again, thank the pimp name generator of 2005 or 4, whatever the hell it was. Instagram, Jonathan Lowe 619. I put some of my coloring on there. And then 3, you can find me on silentlyplottingmyescape.com.
Thanks for stopping by, and Vince will get the check.